You're looking at downtown Indy on this Thursday morning, which actually is a little bit warmer, at least it was earlier than the rest of you. So good morning. It is 6 o'clock on your Thursday morning, inching closer and closer to Friday. I'm Julia, along with Samantha, who was in for Julia this morning. And Chuck, I know you're a happy camper with the cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like it. I think I'm ready for a consistent fall, though.
Yes, and we're not going to see that for a while.
Okay.
In fact, we're going down today. We're going to really go down over the weekend and then back up to close to 80 next week. So our roller coaster ride continues. And today it's really brisk out there as you look live at the home of the 97th National FFA Conference and Convention at downtown Lucas Oil Stadium. Beautiful morning. It is crisp, it is clear, and it's not foggy here, but some of you have dealt with fog. This is not a big deal, but we have seen some near Greensburg on the east side of Indy and then to our north. In fact, right now, visibility at Lafayette is 6, but I was checking this about 10 minutes ago. It was 2 miles, so keep that in mind. Still, I don't think your drive to work is going to be hampered by fog for the most part. 44 here, but boy, in our outlying areas, it is significantly cooler. 36 in Greenfield, 38 at the home of the Fighting Quakers in Plainfield, and then Crawfordsville at only 30, while you Eagles in Zionsville are at 33. It's freezing literally in Kokomo, and then 38 degrees this morning in Bloomington. So this is significantly cooler than yesterday, between 18 and 20 degrees cooler. Now at Indianapolis International Airport this morning, it will be brisk, but we have no bad weather, of course, moving through here. We do have one delay, that's to Toronto, and 2 cancellations this morning to Tampa and Sarasota. Other than that, everything at our great airport is on time. Later today, only the 60s, 64 for a high. That's a degree above average, and we'll have more on this in just a bit. But, Matt, I think this is a morning when a lot of people are going to turn the heaters on in their car.
You're going to want to. Maybe even give yourself a little extra time. You may be defrosting this morning just a little bit, especially if you parked outside. Take a look at traffic this morning. Things are moving fine, even with some of the patchy fog here and there, especially north of Indy. We're cruising okay. This is a live look on I-65 as you're coming into downtown. Of course, the southbound lanes remain closed. Northbound still open, moving just fine. No really big slowdowns area-wide so far this morning. We're moving fine. No accidents either. Of course, we do have a lot of that construction, not just downtown Indianapolis, but east into Wayne County. US 35, you got 3 different road closures as you're taking the Williamsburg Pike exit from the first one exit in Richmond, headed to Muncie. It's a slow go. You got to go around on 27 and hop on 36 to head west towards Muncie and LaSantville. We'll have another update on traffic here in just about 15 minutes.
Matt, thank you. New this morning, police in Speedway are now investigating a deadly shooting overnight. This happened just after midnight along Norfolk Street near 10th and Lyndhurst.
So not a lot of details to pass along right now, but we have learned the victim is a male. We're still checking in with police to find out what led up to the shooting and who police are searching for. We will keep you updated here on Sunrise and at WTHR.com.
Today is day 6 in the Delphi murders trial.
Well, yesterday, jurors were shown autopsy photos of the girls' wounds detailing how they didn't survive. And a warning this morning, some of what you're about to hear is pretty graphic.
Yeah, CNN New Yorker is here with us in studio now with more about what happened in court.
Good morning, Julia. Good morning, Samantha. The doctor who performed the autopsies on Libby German and Abby Williams took the stand and described in detail how the girls died. One of the jurors hardly looked at the photos presented. He buried his head in his hands and he looked as if he was going to get sick. Now, Dr. Roland Cord described how he did the procedures and what he found. The photos show Abby with a large neck wound. The coroner called it gaping. 2 3/4 inch slash on the side of her throat that severed her jugular vein. The photos of Libby showed 3 very large and deep holes in her neck. Those severed her jugular and her arteries. Now, the coroner described how that would result in tremendous blood loss, a drop in blood pressure and heart rate, eventually leading to a loss of consciousness and death in what he estimated would be about 5 to 10 minutes. Now, he did suggest that the markings on Libby's neck could suggest the wounds could possibly be from a box cutter, but under cross-examination, he clarified he has no way of knowing if the murder weapon was a box cutter or how many different types of weapons might have caused those injuries. Now, it was a tough day for the jury and for the families, and our hearts, remain with them. But we did learn some new information in court. An investigator talked about some of the data that he pulled from Libby's cell phone. We'll have that part of the story coming up on Sunrise at 6:30.
And that has already proven to be what we know that will continue to be crucial. Thank you, Sia.
Thank you.
And we're also now getting a look at a new motion from the defense asking again to present an alternate theory about who killed the girls.
So Richard Allen's attorneys say that Abby and Libby may have been murdered as part of a ritual killing. They point to the formation of the sticks that were found on the girls' bodies at the scene. Judge Francis Gold previously blocked Allen's attorneys from presenting that theory to the jury, but the state has argued that investigators dismissed it.
Now, Allen's attorneys are renewing their push to allow an expert on Odinism to testify. So we asked our legal expert, Katie Jackson Lindsay, about this new motion. She says the judge should consider it.
What the defense has said in their motion is that, Judge, you have ruled that we cannot talk about this as a possible motive, this Odinism religious issue as a possible motive for this killing. But now an expert has taken the stand, or a witness has taken the stand and given a reason for the configuration of these sticks, a reason that we have evidence that supports that there's an alternative theory behind this.
Allen's attorneys point to testimony from a state police investigator saying the sticks were placed there to conceal the girls' bodies. They argue blocking the Odinism theory violates Allen's constitutional rights. And as you can imagine, the jurors have had a really tough time already seeing and listening to some of that testimony.
In fact, some of them visibly upset after seeing photos of the girls after they died. Our legal expert that you just heard from, Katie Jackson Lindsay, thinks that jurors exposed to any sort of brutal imagery should be offered therapy, but it's not always practical to do.
There are so many boundaries in terms of a criminal prosecution or a criminal case, because you don't ever, neither side wants to give the appearance of offering anything to the jury in order to get a favorable verdict. So you have to be very careful about that. Even the court has to be very careful about that to ensure that they're staying within the confines of the rules.
So according to the National Center for State Courts, Alaska and Texas are the only states to offer therapy to jurors.
Now remember, you can catch up on all the testimony and evidence in this trial every weeknight at 10 p.m. You can also watch it at 8 a.m. after our re-airing of 13 Sunrise. Our Delphi debrief will air on the WTHR Plus streaming app. You can find that on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku.
At 6:07, we're working to get more information about a person hit after a crash on Indy's South Side. That pedestrian was critically injured, police say, around 7 o'clock last night on Meridian Street near Stop 11 Road. Police said that driver is giving a blood sample for analysis, but they say they don't believe that driver was impaired. And that crash comes just as city leaders are making a push to keep people who are walking or on their bikes safe around Indianapolis.
In fact, last night was the first public meeting of the Vision Zero task force. The goal here is to eliminate traffic fatalities by the year 2035. Now in August, 103 pedestrians were hit by drivers here in Indy. 7 of those people died.
There's a lot of really important work that needs to happen between now and that date, really focused on getting our action plan up and running so we can include our strategies in the budget for next year.
Well, the task force introduced its members and laid out their next steps at that meeting. They also introduced Vision Zero consultant. Her name is Maria Cantrell. She was a Vision Zero coordinator for the city of Columbus, Ohio.
And she says the experience the consultants provide will help them figure out what will work best here in Indianapolis. So the group plans on having another meeting in December.
About a week and a half from Election Day now, and there are still some important deadlines that you will need to know about if you haven't voted yet.
Our Sierra Putman has the dates for you.
Indiana's general election is coming up in just a few weeks, Tuesday, November 5th. And there are some key dates you may want to put in your calendar. Early voting is already underway. You can vote in person through noon Monday, November 4th. Check with your county clerk for the hours and locations. Anyone can vote early in person. You don't need a specific reason, but if you want to vote absentee by mail, you do have to check off a specific reason why you cannot get to the poll on Election Day. The deadline to request a ballot is October 24th at 11:59 p.m. Your completed ballot must be returned to the clerk's office by noon November 4th. Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th. Polls are open 6 to 6. To find where you can vote in your county, check with the clerk's office or go to WTHR.com/politics. We have all the details to make sure your vote counts.
In sports, the Pacers kick off the regular season in Detroit, and they are starting off on the right foot, getting a win over the Pistons.
And a big shout out this morning to Pascal Siakam, who got his 2,000th career assist last night after finding James Wiseman for the bucket there. So Pacers did start off a little slow in the first half. They were down by 9 at halftime, but the blue and gold started to deliver in the third, really. Miles Turner hit 3 straight three-pointers, so he was on fire there. He finished with 20 points total.
And in the fourth, TJ McConnell brought lots of energy off the bench with this drive and the bucket. We love it. He had 14 on the day. Pacers win 115-109. After the game, Coach Rick Carlisle talked in the locker room after the way they finished.
What this came down to was the fight that you guys showed in the second half. All right, we scored the ball, and in the fourth quarter, give up a 19-point fourth quarter and rebounded your butts off, okay? Congratulations, that's a great win. Pacers, 1, 2, 3, Pacers.
All right, well, the Pacers play the Knicks tomorrow night in New York. Then it's back to that home opener Sunday afternoon against the 76ers.
Looking forward to it. Still ahead this morning, an urgent warning from the CDC to older Americans, why they say it's so important right now to get that second COVID-19 vaccine.
It is 6:11, and folks, it's going to be cooler today, very fall-like. And speaking of that, what about an update for those of you who may be headed the next couple of days down to Brown County? Well, low to moderate color there. We're already seeing the color pop north of Indy, but some of the leaves are just falling off. We're expecting peak in 10 days to 2 weeks. We thank our friends at explorefall.com for that info, and we're going to give you information of a roller coaster ride with temperatures coming up in a few minutes.